God's peace be with you. From the very beginning, as we read in the book of Genesis, when God created everything, He put everything in proper order. But today, much of the world is no longer living God's way. Do we then wonder why there is so much crime, corruption, conflict? Why there is no peace, unity, and hope? Man has rebelled against God and His design, and has reaped the consequences of his sin. Let us look what God had done and look at His intent. From the beginning, God signified His intent. In Genesis 1 verse 26, let us make human beings in our image, after our likeness. We are not just creatures of the Creator, but children of God. We are called to be holy as He is holy. We are called to imitate Christ. We are to be temples of the Holy Spirit. But we have turned away from God and have reaped the ugliness and deprivation of sin. From the beginning, God intended for us to care for His creation as His stewards. In Genesis 1 verse 26, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the tame animals, all the wild animals, and all the creatures that crawl on the earth. But we have made a mess of it. We have hunted some species to extinction. We have degraded the natural habitats of many, whether rainforests or polar ice caps. From the beginning, per Genesis 1 verse 27, male and female He created them. This was the natural order for human sexuality. Now we have no longer just two sexes, but so many other genders. And the homosexualists insist that same-sex relationships are also natural. From the beginning, per Genesis 1 verse 28, God blessed them, and God said to them, be fertile and multiply, fill the earth. God blessed the union of man and woman in holy matrimony and told them to have children, lots of them. They are not only to add, but to multiply. Instead, today we are subtracting. For many, children are no longer desired. A dire consequence is that nations are already facing decline in overall population and face the so-called demographic winter. From the beginning, per Genesis 1 verse 29, God provided for the food we need. See, I give you every seed-bearing plant on all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit on it to be your food. They started out vegetarian, but after the fall, they were allowed to be carnivorous. But instead of the natural, nutritious food provided by God, we have the greasy, unnatural, and harmful foods that we eat today. And even as God intended enough food for all, today we face food shortages and even starvation in some areas. This is in the face of massive food wastage in Western nations. So, as we read in Genesis, such was God's design. And God Himself pronounced judgment on what He had done. In Genesis 1 verse 31, God looked on everything He had made and found it very good. But we look at what we have brought upon ourselves in the world today, and those who know better find it very bad. There's one more thing that is part of God's design. God rested on the seventh day. In Genesis 2 verse 3, God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. The Jews had their Sabbath. We Catholics today, the new Israel, have our Sunday and celebrate it with the Eucharist. We also spend this day of rest with our families. Today, many Catholics no longer go to Mass. Many of them are out there in the world enjoying the good they think the world offers them. It is tragic. God bless you.